Guys, AP exams are in literally 2 weeks or a week from you after. I don't know when this video is going to come out. They could have already passed, but you probably at least have finals anyways. I have APs and finals, so I thought I'd make a little tips video on how you can study and get good grades, pass your exams, and get 5s on your APs. I am a master procrastinator and I'm also a straight A student, so my tips and my advice, it works, I promise. At least it does for me. I'm someone that really gets motivated for school and then I work for about an hour and then all of a sudden I don't want to do anything. So I'm gonna share some tips and tricks with you on how I study and pass my exams and how you can too. Just cry when I get bad grades. So the first method that I wanted to talk about is the Pomodoro method. I've actually talked about this a couple times on my channel, but it's a study method where you study for a certain amount of time and then you break for a certain amount of time. You normally repeat the process for a couple hours or however long you want to study for. But today we're going to be doing a 2-hour study session and I want to share some different methods. So this one I'm probably just going to do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. My typical Pomodoro sessions when I have really long study sessions, which range from like 4 to 5 hours, I will typically do 5 minutes on and 10 minutes off. I study or work for 15 minutes and then I take a 10-minute break. During that 10-minute break, I normally like browse Pinterest or like respond to texts and stuff. But yeah, that's the first method that we're gonna try. Today I am studying for AP Biology and I need to go over Unit 3. I'm gonna do my Pomodoro method, my first one. This helps you keep really focused, and especially because like it helps you, like you're working towards something, and for me that's like working towards the break. I typically just find like a Pomodoro video on YouTube, but there's also a bunch of really cool websites that I've used before. I find the YouTube ones just help better for me because you can like, they're more aesthetic. But yeah, let's study for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break, and then I'll share my next study method. So I just finished my first Pomodoro session. It's been 25 minutes. I think now I'm gonna move to my desk because my back's been hurting a little bit, but then I'll explain to you what I did during those 25 minutes and how you can make them productive. Okay, so this step or this method, like part of my study method, is honestly what I deem like one of the most important. And that is going over your notes, or like if your teacher provides slideshows like mine does, that's what I do, or if they record lectures, listening to those, or even watching videos from channels like, for science, I really like, I think it's Mr. Anderson, I'll put it on the screen. And there's a couple other that I like too. There's like a lot of like absolute recap videos and stuff. For history, I really like Mr. Heimler's. There's honestly someone for like every single subject, especially APs. If you have like a textbook, maybe go through those. But for things like exams, you don't. Since it's like a combination of the knowledge throughout the entire year, the entire semester, you typically don't need to know like the specifics on everything versus you would a unit test. So as I'm taking the notes for Unit 3 on AP Biology, I'm not writing down every word, but instead the main ideas. For example, right now I'm taking notes on the steps of photosynthesis, and even though there's a lot more to the light reactions than just light is converted into ATP, it's more complicated than that. That's all you're really gonna need to know to understand and like have that concept on the exam, and using other biology concepts or other concepts from the subject that you're studying, you should be able to put those together. So here's what I did in my Pomodoro method. This is units 3.1 to 3.4 so far. I typically take up like 5 to 6 pages per unit. This one might be a little bit shorter because it is only have 5 subunits, but writing these down really help you remember, or at least it helps me. I know there's been like so much research that it does, and this is definitely something that I swear by. I study for all my tests like this. Even if it's not exams, I write and I draw diagrams, I make tables, write notes. For things like exams, most of the time tables and notes are like my most frequent ones. So that's what I'm gonna finish doing for Unit 3. I'm on 3.4 right now, and this slideshow is 36 slides, and I'm only on slide 7, so it might take me maybe like 30 more minutes, and then I also have to do 3.5. While I do this, I'm going to use the Pomodoro method, but I probably won't be recording my breaks just because I'm going to be using my phone. But yeah, I'm going to lock in and finish writing down all my notes for this unit so we can get into the next step. Alright, I finished taking all my notes for Unit 3. It took about 3 pages, which Unit 3, 3 pages. But now I'm gonna do the other most important step, and that is making flashcards out of all my notes. This helps me reread it, and then I can also go back and use the flashcard. Basically, I start with all my notes and I make questions out of them. I use Quizlet. There's a bunch of different apps that you can use. Quizlet is honestly the most easiest one. I know like everyone uses it. I love it so much. It works really well. It is kind of annoying because it has ads, but it's not that big of a deal. I made so many Quizlets that I'm a top creator on Quizlet. My profile has the little badge. So for example, my first notes is how metabolism is the sum of all chemical reactions occurring in a cell or organism. So how I'll change that, or how I'll turn that into my flashcard, is what is metabolism? Then I have notes about catabolic pathways and anabolic pathways. So I'm gonna say, what are catabolic pathways? So these 2 flashcards are here in my Quizlet, and I basically just keep doing this until I read through all my notes and created flashcards for each like key point. I normally make a flashcard for every single thing that I've written down, sometimes even multiple for each if there's like 2 different ways that it can be interpreted. A lot of times my Quizlet sets are very long. They typically are like 70-ish cards. Sometimes they can get longer than that. I've once had one that was like 280 for a history class, which is insane, but it really helps me get through it. I'm gonna go ahead and write all of these into Quizlet, and I'll see you after for how I then study with the flashcards. In the middle of filming that, my phone ran out of storage, so I had to delete a bunch of stuff. But anyways, I'm back. I have finished transferring all my notes into flashcards, and now I'm going to show you how I use my flashcards. Of course, you can just like click on the card yourself and like read it, think of the answer in your head. Quizlet also has some like things that you can do that's like learn, test, blocks, blast, and match. You have to have Quizlet Plus to like use them multiple times though, so I'm never really using these. Something that is helpful is just clicking for the cards and clicking a check mark if you know them and the X if you don't, but I get really bored. I get so bored and I get off track, so a lot of times I'll have someone quiz me. Most of the time it's my boyfriend. I have him quiz me like every single day lately for about an hour every day just on the Quizlets that I create. I'll have him ask the question that I wrote out, and then I'll explain it to him and he'll tell me if I'm right or not. This really helps with like active recall, and my grades, once I start doing this, my grades went from like good to great. Something about saying them out loud and actually quizzing yourself makes it so much easier to remember and makes you retain that information so much. Another great resource that I use for quizzes is LumiSource. It actually has study guides as well, and there's an AP exam prep. A lot of times right before the test or the night before, I will read through just the LumiSource study guides because they're short and quick and just have the main ideas. But LumiSource also does have flashcards which you can use, and yeah, obviously this would be helpful, but I like making my own because I retain more information by actually typing out each card because I'm thinking about what I'm typing and how I should put it in. As you can see, I'm open to LumiSource here, and you can go down here to practice, and then you can practice the entire unit or you can practice the mini units individually. My study method is practicing each unit individually with an adaptive difficulty, and then practicing for tone questions each quiz until I get to level 2 on each mini unit, and then I practice the entire unit until I master the entire thing. LumiSource is super helpful. I found it a couple months ago and I've been using it to study. Honestly, it's a life changer. I love it so much and I definitely recommend using it. I've put my best friend on and she absolutely loves it too. They have just recently released this thing called premium credits, which does make it a little bit harder to use, but it's okay because I didn't really use the features that the premium credits affect anyways, but that is a little annoying because they're very like pay to win. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, taking these quizzes honestly normally take me like 3 to 4 hours to go through all of them. I normally do them for like a unit test when I have them, but I think for studying for my exams, my AP exams and my finals, I'm just going to be practicing the unit as a whole because it tests more the main ideas rather than the specific details in each mini unit. I'm not going to show that in this video because it would be a lot of just sped up montages of me studying, which this video has already been. I think that's going to be it though, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed my study method. I know it's just 3 short tips: the Pomodoro timer, writing down, flashcards, and looking source. So I guess 4. Other ways that I stay motivated are like looking at Pinterest, academic validation, like academic romanticizing school and stuff like that. I love watching YouTube videos like this where they talk about their academics and how involved they are. Other than that, that's really all I do to stay motivated, and I also just cry when I get bad grades. So that's a real motivator. But yeah, I hope this video motivated you, and I hope it inspires you to study, and I hope these methods work for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down below if these study methods work. Bye, and I'll see you next time. Good luck on your exams.